Okay. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, sorry, bud. You can come over here, Moose. You want to hang out? You can hang out. Come here. Would you like to conduct book club? What was your favorite part of Frankenstein? Oh, really? And what did you think? What did you think about the themes? He's a man of few words. How's it going, guys? Is this thing on? I can never tell if it's working. Okay, I think we're live. Can you hear me? That's another question. Let me know if you can hear me. And if the volume's okay. Bye, bud. Loud and clear. Yeah. How's everyone doing? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to book club. I hope you guys are having a wonderful... Oh. Do I usually wear my glasses for book club or don't wear my glasses? Is it annoying if I wear them? I think it's okay. How's everyone doing today? Oh, that's a good sound. That's a good sound. Okay, yes. Happy book club day, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How's it going? Glad you guys are all here. My cat is being demonic somewhere. She is just, we put up some Christmas decorations and she has been a little bit of a nightmare. Not gonna lie. I'm sure she will come grace us with her presence at some point. I'm not sure where she is right now. Whew. Okay. I'm ready for Frankenstein. I got my Christmas pajamas on and I'm ready. Oh, hold on. My husband's phone is in here. Let me give him his phone. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes, I am really excited for this one too. I'm very excited to see how you guys feel about Frankenstein today. This was my second time reading Frankenstein, and I feel like I read it way differently than I did the first time. So, yes, I finished last night. So, it's better if I finish, a few days before, but I started this one, I think, on Monday, so I didn't have a whole lot of time. And, obviously it's like an older text. It's not the easiest thing to read. Oh my gosh, how funny! Enjoy your read. That's funny that you just happen to be reading it at the same time. Guys, Richard, you made it! I was gonna procrastinate. Or try to. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Book club options. Is this? No. Yes. Wait. Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, yeah. No. No, this is not it. This one. Okay. Here we go. Guys, was this classic horror? Is that what this one was? Did I spell botanical wrong? What a big dumb dummy. Okay. Is that what category we had this month? Was classic horror? I'm gonna have to do this a different way because I still haven't figured out how to do it the right way. Okay, so we have, for our book club options, we have sci-fi, horror revolving around fears, vampires, body horror, botanical horror, aqua horror. This was our September. We did gothic. Purple book covers, 50s horror, apocalyptic, folk. We did Dean Koontz. New vintage, best covers, cult, strange horror, existential horror, witches, coming of age horror from the 70s, translated horror, German, cosmic, creature feature, wilderness. Was this month cult classic or was it classic horror? Oh yeah, it was classic. Okay. Yeah, I feel the same way. Definitely older text can be a little bit more challenging to read. With this one, actually, you know what I did is I read it and I listened to it at the same time because I felt like that would help me because I had to read it so quickly. And I think the first time I read Frankenstein, it took me a while to read. But this one, I only had a week, so I listened to it and read it at the same time, and that did help a ton. Okay, let me... Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to make it so you can see the wheel. And I think I did it. Okay. Paste. Cool. Now let's just see if you'll be able to read it if I spin it like this. It's just going to take a second because it's always behind. Why can't I fast forward? Oh, there we go. Okay, you are not going to be able to read it. Yeah, well, you know, I'll hold it close when we're done. Let's see if I could record it for... How am I going to do this? Hey, Bri? Yeah. Could you come here really quickly? Anne Rice is on the wheel, Richard. Wait, I don't know if I can actually shuffle this one. Oh, I can shuffle. Okay, cool. Can you do me a quick favor? 1 second, though. Yeah, that's totally fair to be frustrated with Victor. But because Victor, yeah. Yeah, he's so whiny. I was telling my husband that this morning. Yeah. But if you try reading it and listening to it at the same time, it really does help. Okay, can you do me a favor? It's going to be weird, but can you just stand there and record so that I'll be able to post what gets chosen? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm going to spin the wheel and then I'll hold it close. You're not probably going to be able to see it while I'm spinning it, but let me just shuffle it a few times. Shuffle. Oh, okay, the shuffle. Oh, you know, it does work. Cool. Okay, shuffled. So this will be our category for January. You have to hit record. Okay, so I'm going to spin the wheel for our January category for book club. Did it pick one? What is it? Oh, is it? Okay, you can stop that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your assistance, sir. Can you see that? It's the best cover. So horror books with the best cover. This is going to be so super fun. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So you guys can think about what books have the best covers throughout the live, and then at the end I'll get some suggestions from you. But I'm excited for that one. That'll be fun. And yeah, Anne Rice is on there. I don't know if I read you every category, but oh, that's a good point. It is such a good book. Okay, so just generally before we get into it, did you guys like this one? And was it the first time that you read it? Yes, yeah, you're right. That is a very subjective category. Just any book cover that you think is cool. It could be anything. So, I'm excited for the cool book cover. I might put in one this month. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Alrighty. Yeah, that's how I feel too. It helped a lot, especially when you have to read it quickly. I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. Yes, okay, I felt the same way. Loved this book. Victor is the worst. Yes, it's one of your all-time favorites. All right. Consider me a fan, Kinstein. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. You loved it. Okay, cool. Reread liked it, but Dracula's better. That is so funny. Okay, cool. Yes, this was also I believe it was my second read. Let me pull up my notes here. All right, I got this so I have this Frankenstein, the pretty one. Oh, this is the one that I read before. But sometimes these books are like I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna break them if I read them. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a cheap, crappy version too. I mean, why am I telling you guys this? You guys know. You guys probably have multiple copies of books too. But so I ended up getting the Penguin Classics version, and this had some information in the front that I listened to as well. So we hear a little bit. I'm just going to tell you in case you guys didn't read any background, because I think it kind of plays into the story. So we hear a little bit about Mary Shelley's kind of tragic history in the beginning of the story. Her mother died after her birth, and she had an unkind stepmother that she didn't really connect with. And she was quite attached to her father, but her father was also quite cold. And so I don't think that she really got the love and connection that she craved as a child. And then she herself lost a few children as well. I know at least one of them was before she wrote Frankenstein. I'm not sure about all of them, but one of them was certainly before she lost, or before she wrote the book. So I think all of that kind of plays into the text and will bring this back up towards the end. But okay, so she marries Percy Shelley at 16. And Percy was previously married, or he was married at the time that he met her, and he just ditched his current wife, who went and committed suicide, and then married Mary Shelley. So, like, already not a great start to a marriage, you know? And then we all know the famous writing weekend where they got together with their friends and they all decided to write stories. That's where Frankenstein came from. It's also where John Polidori's The Vampire came from, and that's actually another reason why I bought this book, is because the vampire is in the back. So that's cool. I only have it on Kindle, so I wanted like a physical copy of it, so that's neat. And then Lord Byron was there too, who is also another famous dude. And let's see. So, I don't know what I wanted to read. It just says read this page. It says, Mary recalls, this is a direct quote. I'm not sure where this is from, but it says, many and long conversations between Lord Byron and Shelley, to which I was devout but nearly a silent listener, turned upon the nature of the principle of life and whether there was any probability of ever being discovered. Hello. And communicated. Polidori's diary entry, okay, there we go, from June 14th. Shelley and I had a conversation about principles, whether man was to be thought merely an instrument. Hello. The component parts of a creature might be, hello. Please don't delete my notes. That would be very bad. A creature might be manufactured, brought together, and yes, I saw Mary Godwin witnessed her own mental labors. What did I want to read? Brother. Okay. What is this from? She goes on to say, frightful must it be, for supremely frightful would be the effect of any human endeavor to mock the stupendous mechanism of the creator of the world. I don't know why I said to read that. Interesting. Anyway, just a few more points. Victor was actually a name that Percy used for himself as a child, so keep that in mind. And he was really interested in science, electricity, and he was intrigued by death. And then also, 101. Oh, and the book also goes on to explain a bunch of books that Mary Shelley read around this time, and I believe even a dream that she had about the dead coming to life, like seeing her dead mom or something like that. So that will come into play in a little bit, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. I thought it was really interesting hearing kind of like the tragedies of her life and how some of these can pop up in her writing, or, you know, potentially if you see them in her writing. We'll get to that later. At the start of the book, Mary is like, I'm so thankful that such an untalented person as I could write this book. It's also thanks to my husband. Yeah, you know what's funny too is we watched the original Frankenstein for Patreon yesterday, and just like, you know, see the difference between the book and the movie. And in the credits, it was like Mrs. Percy Shelley. I'm like, she doesn't even get a name in the credits? That's crazy. Oh. Okay, I think I glitched for a minute, but we're good. Yeah, Morella's like, I think I'm going to go resurrect a body. Morella really liked this book, as you can tell. You can tell throughout the book for sure. She references quite a few times Paradise Lost. Okay, so let's, I guess, sort of begin at the beginning. Is there anybody here that hasn't read the story? Usually there are. And in which case I will kind of give you a synopsis as we go along, just so you kind of know what we're talking about. So totally fine if you're here and you haven't read the book. You obviously don't have to read the book to come hang out in book club. But if you haven't read the book, I'll give you kind of a synopsis as we go through, so it's interesting for you, so you're not just like, what is going on? Also thought this was interesting. There's so much foreshadowing in the book as well. And I think we actually start kind of with foreshadowing. So the book starts with this man in the Arctic on a ship, and he sees two dudes. Well, he sees one dude and then another dude, you know, sled dogging across. Sled dogging? And he says, he brings up this poem where he says something like, man, I know I wrote it, but something like, did I not write it? I swear I wrote about this freaking poem. But he says something like, I will not kill my albatross or something. And the poem is about basically like that's what starts the misfortune of this guy's life. So, yeah, basically what I'm saying is the whole book is just foreshadowing from beginning to end. And you know what? It actually made me appreciate Victorian Psycho a little bit more. Not that this is in the Victorian period. I believe this book was written in the Romantic period. But it made me think that books, I don't know, books were just, I feel like, written differently back then. And you know how, I don't want to give too much away, but you know how Victorian Psycho is kind of like that too, where it starts with foreshadowing. It kind of tells you exactly what's going to happen in the story. I feel like that's kind of how I felt about this one too. So it just reminded me of Victorian Psycho. I'm like, God, I just keep thinking about that book and I love it more and more. So I hope we could read more books like that next year. Yeah, The Ancient Mariner. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this dude picks up Victor Frankenstein in the Arctic, right? He's in the Arctic somewhere. And he's like, I don't know, becomes kind of obsessed with him. It's kind of weird, but he's like, oh, I don't have many friends, and I picked this guy up off the ice, and he, you know, if he wasn't such a whiny little bitch, I think we would have been friends. And Victor's like, well, let me tell you my story and why I'm here. And then it goes into the rest of the story. I believe if you read the 1818 version, it doesn't start with that. I believe it starts kind of like, I don't know, in the middle of the story or something, but it doesn't start in the Arctic. And there also do seem to be some similarities between that ship captain and both the monster and Frankenstein. Like, he's very lonely. He just wants companionship. He doesn't really have anyone to call a friend. But then also, I feel like he did have some similarities to Victor as well. Oh yeah, he says, what can stop the determined heart and resolved will of a man? Oh! I just made a connection. Let's bring up this captain at the end. Sorry, I'm just making a note so I don't forget that. Okay, see, I think this is so impressive. It just wraps back up. I feel like a lot's, you know, it's so much foreshadowing and so much coming back around. Okay, sorry. That's so funny. I did the same thing. I think I rated it lower, and then once we talked about Victorian Psycho here, and then just a few weeks after, I just kept thinking about that freaking book, and it just kept going higher and higher. Well, I think it starts with, I think I wrote it, where it started. So it does start in the Arctic? Oh, that's so funny. Somebody brought that up when we were watching Frankenstein yesterday, the Robert De Niro one. And they said that it was a close representation of the book. So a lot of the ones that I read are not similar to this, you know? Yeah, he was a little, but I guess he's alone. Well, but that's a weird thing. Like, he has a ship full of people. You know what I mean? It's not like he's alone in the Arctic. He has other men that are on the ship. So he definitely has some, maybe a little crush on Victor. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to keep in mind that he has similarities to Victor too, because I think there's a point to be brought up at the end too. All right, so now we have our description of Frankenstein. It's really interesting. So much of, obviously, the movies revolve around the look of Frankenstein, and we when someone says the word Frankenstein's monster, you kind of perceive him in, as the film, but he's described so differently in the book. Oh, that's description of Victor Frankenstein. What he wanted. And I always find it so interesting. So I went through and highlighted everything that the monster, like every time somebody described the monster throughout the story, and we get very minimal description of him, which you would think based on the movies that wouldn't be the case, but it is. Marilla, are you going to steal bodies and resurrect a monster? Oh my god, a kitty Frankenstein? That would be... Actually, we don't need anything more evil than this thing. That would not be a good idea. Okay, so we have Victor Frankenstein. Thank you so much for the cat hair. He's intrigued by science, but also magic. And this is what I mean by foreshadowing. I feel like there's just so many lines in here like this. I have never beheld anything so utterly destroyed. And you're like, just wait, buddy. Just you wait. Okay, so this is what he wants. Wealth was an inferior object, but what glory would attend the discovery? And if I could banish disease from the human frame and render man invulnerable to any but a violent death, the raising of ghosts or devils. Okay, so at first, I feel like he starts with good intentions, right? Like that, sure, he wants fame from his discovery, but at least I feel like he's starting with, well, if I could banish disease from all people, sure, I'll be famous from it. That's great and everything. Oh, my freaking thing died already. Gosh darn it. That's not a good start. One moment. Zoom you in a little. Oh, just a little bit. Okay, so at least he started with somewhat good intentions. Man, this book is just written so beautifully. What did I write? Then, dude's mom dies, right? She died calmly. And then he says, the void that presents itself to the soul, the despair that is exhibited on the countenance, it is so long before the mind can persuade itself that she, whom we saw every day, and whose very existence appeared a part of our own, could have departed forever. That the brightness of the beloved eye have been extinguished, that the sound of the voice so familiar and dear to the ear can be hushed, never more to be heard. I thought that this was a pretty beautiful sentiment about death. And I also feel like this book, when I was reading it, it's so interesting. It's so different from modern books because you don't really get a closeness to these characters, really. Like, we don't really know much about the characters other than, his obsession with science and his whininess. But we never really get super close with them. But man, when bad things start happening in the story, it is heartbreaking. And I was telling my husband, I'm like, I just feel like these older books are able to evoke emotion that modern day books, they just can't do that. Like I'm thinking of like how pissed off I am at Heathcliff. Like I still can't think about Wuthering Heights without thinking about how much I fucking hate Heathcliff. And this book, when shit goes down, you're just like, damn, it's really interesting. Sorry, I have not been keeping up with the chat thing. Oh, that's so nice. Hello to you and your wife. Oh. Yes. Okay, this is definitely a point that I bring up too about the resurrection. Yep. I definitely asked a question about that. Okay. Yeah, they are all I feel like a lot of the adaptations follow probably the movies more closely than the book. But I am interested to see that 90s one and see how it relates to the book. Yes. Yeah, I love the film too. I mean, I grew up watching the film, so I saw the film ages before I read the book. So it's kind of, nostalgic to go back and watch it. Hello, welcome, welcome. Oh yeah, my best friend's a dingo. I still think that's such a good name. Okay, I hate Victor's passiveness. He's an eyewitness because he doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions. Okay, so that's that's kind of a good place to start. With Victor. So a lot of the times in books, these characters have, man, it's been forever since I've been in college. What's the word? Amartia, their fatal flaw. It's like a part of their personality that leads to their downfall or inevitable demise. What do you guys think Victor Frankenstein's fatal flaw is? Yeah, I always think of the original too. I love to hate Victor. mm. Oh my god, self-pity. Holy crap. Self-pity. Yeah, selfishness. Obsession. Oh, privilege. Interesting. He does things because he can. He doesn't think ahead of his consequences. Yeah, yep. Yeah. And then, kind of on the same vein of that, do you think he began his experiments with good intentions? Or do you think he was just flawed from the very beginning? Thanks for stopping by. Have fun. Have fun cooking. That is very true, yeah. God, I fucking hate Heathcliff. He's such a piece of crap. There's a Wuthering Heights movie that's coming out next year, too. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm like, dang it, does that mean I have to reread the book? Oh, A God Complex? Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to, like some of you kind of touched on, how the book is kind of mysterious. We don't really get to know the characters as well as we do, especially in like modern day texts. So he is kind of hard. It is kind of hard to determine if he did start out with good intentions. Because even when he says like, oh my gosh, if I could alleviate disease from humans, that would be great. But he also wants to do it because of the glory that he'll receive, So it's kind of hard to figure out where he lies and if he is like a decent person that put himself in a bad situation and then things snowballed, or if he's just always been kind of a selfish asshole. Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. It could be good intentions, but not the right intentions. His devotion to science over humans. Yeah, okay. Oh, is my camera's not being annoying, is it? It's not going in and out of focus, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell on this end. Okay, so Victor's inability to separate man from child. The creature is essentially a child. Well, that's kind of interesting too, because we have here the description of, I know it's not pronounced Waldman, but you know, M. Waldman, the professor. He appeared about 50 years of age. A few gray hairs covered his temples. His back of his head was nearly black. His person was short. His voice the sweetest I had ever heard. So the descriptions say that this is actually pretty much a direct description of Mary Shelley's own father. So what I find interesting in the book is that the teacher that Victor learns things from seems to be a representation in some way of her father, and Victor himself seems to be in some way a representation of her husband. And I think that there's probably a lot, because a lot of people say that the book's about this, or it could be about this, or child, or parenthood, or whatever. All different things people have theories about, but a lot of it does seem to be directly related to her life and what she experienced. And I thought that was really interesting. Victor's inability to consider the importance of a female partner in creating life. Oh, interesting. Lack of maternal influence. Yeah. When creating the monster, unwillingness to make his wife. Oh, the monster's wife that leads to Elizabeth's death. Okay, so yeah, that's even an interesting. No, don't apologize. That's actually interesting too. And especially when you think about Victor losing his mother, and then also Mary Shelley losing her mother at her young age too, you know? So we have Victor Frankenstein. He's obsessed with science. He also enjoys reading about magic too. And when he first goes to college, he meets one professor that's like, that's stupid. It's magic. You're dumb. And then he meets another professor that's more inclined to listen to him and kind of understand that science isn't just one thing. And he seems to respect that man. He ends up collecting body parts, putting them together. That was another question I had, which some of you guys have already answered, but were you surprised to find that there was no grand storm, no bolts of electricity mentioned in the story, like the way it's portrayed in the film? It's such a pivotal point in the movies, and that is always such an important point in the film. And in the book, it is more mysterious. It's very like, oh yeah, and then I brought him to life, and Victor's telling the story to the captain, and he's like, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I did, because like nobody needs to recreate it, but just know I brought this guy to life. Victor has a dream where Elizabeth becomes his mother's corpse. Yes, that almost never makes it in the film adaptation. That's also again, more foreshadowing for the story. That's what I'm saying. Like, this story, there's so much foreshadowing through the whole thing. She's basically being like, hey guys, shit's about to go down the whole time. It's really impressive. And then still to get to those points and still be surprised by what happens and still feel so deeply when people die in the story so tragically. It's a really impressive story. Yeah, so little description with reanimating the corpse. It's crazy. So we have this kind of general description of Frankenstein. He has a gigantic structure. He's 8 feet tall. That's kind of about it. And then we hear a little bit about how his skin's like yellow, stuff like that. I don't know. And then he says this: a new species would bless me as its creator and source. Many happy and excellent natures would owe their being to me. No father could claim the gratitude of his child so completely as I should deserve theirs. Renewed life, where death had apparently devoted the body to corruption. Oh, I do like that quote. Is that one of my favorite quotes? I think it might be. I seem to have lost all solar sensation for this one purpose. I collected bones. I kept my workshop of filthy creatures, the dissection room, slaughterhouse, and often did my human nature turn with loathing from my occupation. And he also becomes ill. You know what I find so funny? You know how in a lot of, like in Victorian Psycho, for example, how they talk like the Victorian period, how they're like, oh, women have uteruses, so they can't run because their uterus might fall out. They treated women like they were just breakable little beings. Meanwhile, Victor Frankenstein, every freaking 20 pages is like, oh, I fell into a fit of sleep and illness for 2 months. I'm like, this guy is such a little bitch. He is the biggest bitch of them all. So he makes this freaking monster, and he ends up, or is he just working on the monster at this point? He ends up with a slow fever. Oh yeah, no, he made it. Becoming ill. The fall of a leaf startled me. Like, relax, dude. I shunned my fellow creatures as I had been guilty of a crime. Sometimes I grew alarmed at the wreck I perceived that I had become. Bum, bum, bum. But I think... Oh yeah, he hadn't. This was just while he was working on it, because it says, it was a dreamy night of November that I saw the dull yellow eyes of the creature open. His limbs were in proportion, and I had selected his features as beautiful, beautiful, great God. Which is so interesting, because he calls him beautiful, and then once he resurrects him, he's like, ugh, ugly, vile creature the whole time. Like, dude, pick one. Like, he's only beautiful until he isn't what you want him to be. You know what I mean? His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was a lustrous black and flowing. His teeth of pearly whiteness. Like, he's kind of hot. He's describing him as, like, an attractive guy. But these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost of the same color as the dun white sockets in which they were set. His shriveled complexion and straight black lips. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, because I mean, I think when we all picture Frankenstein, that's probably what we picture, because there are 10 million films, and you picture like lightning and this big scene, this big dramatic thing, and then you read it and you're like, wait, that's how you brought him to life? It's just like a quick line. Okay, so it says he worked 2 years to make this guy. Oh yeah, that's the dream. So he had the dream while he was making the monster. So basically, yeah, he had every warning of being like, "Hey, hey bro, don't do this." Hmm. Where does he? Because I know he says something about, oh, it's where he was talking about, he says something about, oh, I paused, examining and analyzing, blah, 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 and the change from life to death, death to life, until from the midst of this darkness, a sudden light broke in upon me. So I believe that this was like his idea of creating the monster. This is something else that I don't think I picked up on the first read. Light has so much to do with this monster. So that's where he was created, where he says there was a spark of light. When he first meets Frankenstein, there's a lightning storm, which might be where movies make that connection of lightning and the monster. I might be messing up and saying Frankenstein when I mean his monster, but I think you guys will get what I mean. When Victor first sees the monster outside of his lab, there's lightning. Then when Frankenstein burns down that cottage, he does it with fire because that's how you burn stuff down, which is more light. And then they end up in the Arctic, which is like light 24/7. So light and the monster have such a strong connection in the story. And I don't think that I picked up on that the first read. And this read, I'm like, oh, how interesting. Kind of like every time the monster is mentioned, there's some sort of light involved. I have a bit of a cold right now. I'm tempted to pull a Frankenstein and just sleep in bed for the next 3 months. Right? Isn't he such a whiny little baby? Gosh. Okay, so anyway, he makes this monster for those of you who haven't read it. And then he falls into a fit of illness. And then, like, 2 months later, he's like, oh, that monster's gone. Good. Whew. Didn't want to deal with that. And he just goes about his life. Okay. Then he learns that his brother was killed and that a girl, basically, that his parents had adopted when they were young, is being held for the murder of his brother, which they know she didn't do it. When Frankenstein goes back to his town, he sees the monster in that lightning storm, and he just knows that the monster is the one that killed his brother. Yes, that's a good point. I think he finds the idea of him beautiful rather than the reality. Yeah. And I think it is because he wants to feel godlike. Um, the book the book's description emphasizes the combination of beautiful elements as the sort, yes, yes, of the horrifying appearance rather than him just being big and hulking and dumb. Yeah, that's very true. And also, I mean, it makes sense too because the whole book is just all about the beautiful description of nature. We get so much of that romantic era description in literature, you know, with all the hills and mountains and lakes and snow and storms, and we get so much of the beauty. And so that's also interesting too. Like, what a juxtaposition, this horrifying monster story of death and destruction, and then like the beautiful atmosphere surrounding it. Oh, it's such a great book. Yeah, people were saying that the monster is hot in the new movie. I haven't seen the new one. I'm down for a hot monster. Does he have black lips? Okay, yeah, the elements alone are beautiful, but when put together, you're like, something's not right here. That's very true. Yes, women were often depicted having nervous breakdowns or nervous collapses. Yes, since this was written by a woman, I wonder if she did that on purpose, almost despite. Interesting. That is interesting. You know, it's we read a lot about, well, we read obviously a lot of historical novels and stories and stuff in college. And it was so interesting to read how women even wrote women because of what, the ideas that society put on women. So that would be rather innovative if that's kind of what she did. But yeah, he's so annoying, dude. He's worse than like, dude, he's a whiny little baby. Victor didn't tell about his monster because who would believe him? And then later in the book, he tells about the monster to authorities and they're like, all right, let's hunt the monster. Yeah, so true. So true. So true. Oh yeah. So so in my version, in my book, it says it says that it was a dreary night in November, that's how the 1818 version started. So I just assumed that that's where the 1818 version started. But maybe it goes back and tells about the Arctic. I'm not sure. But I thought that was kind of cool that it tells you kind of where the original story started. Okay, so we get the description of the monster. Yes. Victor instantly seems to regret what he's done. Oh, here's our quote from Coleridge. Like one on a lonesome road who doth walk in fear and dread, and having once turned around walks on, and turns no more his head, because he knows a frightful fiend doth close behind his tread. That's from The Ancient Mariner. So just kind of cool how he quotes the poem from the beginning and then it comes back and you're like, oh yeah, yep, that's pretty much what's going on right now. And then once he makes the monster a mummy again endured with animation could not be so hideous as that wretch. I felt the bitterness of this disappointment. Dreams that have been my food and pleasant rest for so long a space were now become a hell to me. And the change was so rapid, the overthrow so complete. So he's kind of like less disappointed in creating and releasing this monstrosity on Earth, but more so being like, oh, that wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be, And I feel like maybe that's where his melancholy and illness comes from, is he's like, oh, this wasn't as great as I thought, instead of being like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, I don't know that he ever, because like you said, there's so many times in the story where he could just man up and do something to help out, and he just doesn't. So I don't know that he feels sympathy for what he did. I think you're right. I think selfishness is definitely a part of his fatal flaw for sure. Oh, that's interesting. Unwell Women, that talks about the women's health through the years. A lot of the description of the beauty / hideousness of the creature. Oh, as some projecting from Victor, as opposed to the literal physical description. Liz, how are you? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Okay, man, it's gotta be early for you, right? Like maybe 6 in the morning, maybe? Oh yeah, so he quotes the Coleridge poem that connects with the foreshadowing. So in the beginning it says, I think it's the sailor, he says that he did not shoot his albatross, basically saying like, I didn't set myself up for these series of misfortunes. And then we have Victor who quotes the poem and you're like, oh, you just shot your albatross, bud. Albatross. Okay, yeah, so I already said he sees lightning when he arrives home. Oh, they also sit by a fire to hear the monster story. Light began this whole thing. He danced around the cottage that was set on fire. Okay. So it's two years and then he kills William. So this monster has been out for 2 years. Okay. He gets created. Here's the thing, and this is where we might disagree, and that's all good. But I'm curious how you guys feel about the monster, because I think it's fine. I mean, obviously you can feel however you want, but the monster, I think like throughout the book, the point is to be like, oh, who's really the monster here, you know? And you do feel bad for the monster. And there's a lot of fucked up things that the monster endures. But is he justified in his actions? Like, he gets created by Victor and he goes off, right? And 2 years later, well, he meets this family and he stays and watches them and he learns English and he reads, you know, like we were talking about Paradise Lost by John Milton, and he reads a bunch of other stories about philosophy and the history of the land and all sorts of things. So he starts to question who he is. And he says a lot throughout the story, like, what am I? Which is really heartbreaking. And I think that's kind of a difference that I read too. The first story, I read it as kind of like a human being, you know? It's a bunch of human body parts put together. But this one, I'm like, oh no, it's not human. It actually is this like other thing that can't ever fit in. And it made it a little bit more heartbreaking. But he goes off for 2 years. He watches this family. He learns. He starts to understand. And he goes, okay, well, this family will accept me. There's a blind guy and his children and more stuff, but you know, I'm paraphrasing here. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go in and talk to this blind guy. And I'm going to be like, look, I'm really ugly and people don't like me, but if you could just be friends with me, I would be really thankful. Right. And he like does little things to help the family. He brings them firewood and all sorts of things. And then I guess we learn this after. So maybe I'm jumping ahead just a little bit, but I think that's okay. But when he goes in to talk to the old man, first the old man's very kind to him. And then the children come home and see this 8-foot tall monster in their house. Of course, they're going to freak out and be scared that's going to hurt their dad. So they just sort of like yell and he runs off. And then he comes home and realizes, oh, I just screwed that up. They get scared and leave. And then he sets the house on fire. And he's like, well, if they're not going to like me, then fuck the world. And I think it's at this point where I have a little difficulty feeling 100% sorry for the monster. Because, like, what does that family owe you? They don't owe you anything. You can be mad at Victor and that's fine. But to go after this random family and have them be like the make it or break it, like if they don't accept me, I'm going to shun all of humanity forever. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that the monster is warranted in his actions? Or like killing William, Victor's younger brother? I'm curious how you guys feel about him. It was important to the Romantic writers to overturn logic and reason for the Enlightenment era. Is this, when were like the Transcendentalists? (1830s to the 1850s). Oh yeah, okay, so that was around this time. Yeah, that makes sense. In favor of the kind of writing closer to pure feeling. Victor embodies creation without heart. He only really knows these harsh reactions, so I don't feel like he's completely at fault when it comes to his outbursts. He doesn't have that control over his emotions. The monster is a good guy in my head. He was created and then completely left on his own. Nobody accepted him anywhere. I had a feeling I was going to be the minority in this. He had no bad intentions before realizing how shitty his life was going to be. Okay. I agree, but I also do disagree. I had a feeling I was going to be the minority on the monster because it's really hard for me to just accept his murdering of innocent people and being like, well, the world wasn't kind to me. Like, well, the world's not kind to a lot of people, buddy. You can't just go around murdering children, you know? But I do understand that he's not like a rational functioning person. But here's the thing. He says he learns kindness from these people, but he also learns other things too. And that's what he chose. You know what I mean? Like, he still did have a choice, I think. I don't know. Okay, so Victor goes home. He sees a monster. He knows that the monster killed his brother, William. Justine is held for his death. And man, when Justine's murdered, that was like one of the most heartbreaking parts of the story for me. I was like, dude, that's so not fair. And it's crazy. I mean, imagine being alive back in this time. Like, well, when was it originally written? 1818? Imagine, oh yeah, someone died. Well, that guy was standing close to him, so let's just kill him. What do you mean? That's so scary that you could just be brought into custody just being around someone who was murdered, you know? Okay, this is good. I don't feel like it's a question of justification. He has known nothing but hatred. The old man was his nugget of acceptance, as soon as he tried to embrace it, he was met with violence. Do we know where the monster's brain came from? No, we don't know anything. It's not like the movie where it's like a bad brain. And I think that's also kind of what separates this book from the movie too, is because I think we can look at that Frankenstein monster in the movie, like those are all human parts in there. We know where the brain came from. It was just a bad brain, and that's why he acts the way that he does. With this book, like, this isn't a human, right? Like, this is something else. This is some monstrosity that's just kind of in human form, but isn't a person. And so when he starts reading all these philosophy books, he's like, wait, who am I? What am I? And the idea of where he got his soul. What is a soul? What does it mean to be alive? Yeah. So many questions. This book is very philosophical, and we can read it a million different ways, but yeah, I'm not 100% on the monster side. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm in the minority here. I'll give you a little bit more here and there as we go through. And this is, I think, where I started hating Victor, because why couldn't Victor go to the courts and be like, hey, I just saw a monster. He doesn't have to say, I made a monster. He doesn't have to say anything. He could have been like, oh, I ran by a man, and the man said I killed this young boy. That's all he has to say. That's all he has to say. And he just lets Justine die. What a piece of crap. He is flawed. He shouldn't be murdered anyone, but I think that is such a human response. And that's true in a situation. Also, what is he supposed to do? Nobody wants him. And full self-isolation is inhumane. Yeah, but he doesn't even need... That's what makes him so complicated, because, like, he isn't human. So does he need what humans need? Like, he says, I don't need the food the way that you need food. You know, I can withstand temperatures the way that you can't. But then it's so interesting that he still does, at his core, need what we all need, which is, you know, some sort of deeper connection. So it's such an interesting book. When the old man and his family rejected the creature was the most painful part for me. He talked a lot about Justine we talked a lot about Justine in the class I took. The professor had a pretty strong feminist bend to her. I think we spent like a full class session just on her. I mean, she is definitely a representation of something bigger, for sure. And man, that scene killed me. That scene killed me. Oh yeah, from just Justine's perspective, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting. Yeah, so at this point, this is where Victor turned for me, because I'm like, okay, maybe he has good intentions. He's made some real poor decisions, but he can write things, and he just chooses not to. Yeah, once Justine died, I'm like, you're a piece of shit, Victor. And this is where I felt that emotion. I was like, man, that was tough. It was really sad. So I asked after Justine's death how you feel about the monster, if your feelings towards him changed, but it seems like you guys are pro monster, which is totally fine. That's totally fine. And I think that that's probably the normal way to read the book. I think I had a feeling I was going to be in the minority, not really 100% being team monster. I'm not team Victor either. Let's be clear. Okay, so after Justine dies for the murder of William, which is Victor's younger brother. So basically Frankenstein's monster, after he leaves, he burns down that cottage. He finds Victor's younger brother, and then he's like, you're the SOB that did this to me. No one will ever love me. So then he kills him, and then he frames Justine. Victor goes on a hunt for him. He ends up finding him, and the monster's like, look, we can kill each other and fight all you want, but let's just sit down and let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what my life has been like so far. You know what else is funny too? After his younger brother dies, Victor again falls into his little melancholy emo BS. And he's like, oh, I'm the one that caused this, and this is all my fault, even though he could have avoided at least some of it, if not William's death, certainly Justine's. But even his dad is like, hey, we all lost your brother. Can you stop being such a crybaby? Like, it's just, everyone around him is like, can you stop whining for 5 seconds? Oh, he's such an insufferable character. Oh no, you can talk about movies all you want. And that is a great question. And I think at least, I guess I can only really talk about the original since that's the one that I watched so recently. But it just seems like the philosophical aspect of the film is missing. That they kind of just boiled it down to just a horror movie. And I know there are a million different interpretations, and maybe there are some that follow the book more closely than others. But I think a lot of the movies are just kind of like, yeah, like reduced down to just the horror elements and kind of take out all of the philosophical and additional things. And I think, like we were saying, Justine is a symbol for more than what she stands in the book. And but yeah, that's a great question. Like, how come we don't have a story about her? Yeah, I don't know. Well, even in the original Frankenstein, like, they make him Henry for some reason. I just don't understand the reasoning behind a lot of the choices that are done in the Frankenstein movies. Is it they made it seem like they'd never seen someone who's been strangled to death before the existence of the creature. Yeah, and like also he's huge. He's 8 feet tall. Can't you just put Justine's little hands by his and be like, oh yeah, those fingers don't match up? Like, come on, guys. Can someone do their job correctly? As far as I'm concerned, I don't like calling him the monster. He's just a poor little fella trying to find his way through the crazy world. Yeah, do they even call him the monster in the book? They call him demon more than anything. So I think you guys feel about the monster the way I feel about Marilla, you know? Like, yeah, you might be a little bit evil, but damn, do I love you. Oh, gosh. But I think just, Frankenstein's monster is just kind of what he's been known for so long. Okay, so they sit down. Frankenstein's monster is telling Victor all about his travels. 103. What did I highlight? So he starts out by saying, I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend. I was benevolent. My soul glowed with love and humanity, but I am not alone. Wait, no, but am I not alone? Miserably alone. You, my creator, abhor me. What hope can I gather from your fellow creatures who owe me nothing? They spur and hate me. The desert mountains and dreary glaciers are my refuge. I think that's kind of what pisses me off about the monster is like, yeah, what does humanity owe you? It doesn't owe you anything. And if it wasn't for this, well, I guess I also read things a little bit. I think I overanalyze things a little bit too much. Like, if he just started by going after Victor, I'm down for it. Ruin his life. He created you and left you. Great. But, like, to have it all based on these random strangers and then to be like, you don't love me. No one else owes me anything. Then why are you killing random people? Just make Victor pay. I don't know. He pisses me off too. I'm not going to lie. The guilty are allowed by human laws. Oh yeah, he says the guilty are allowed by human laws, bloody as they are, to speak in their own. Okay, so he basically says, like, yes, I killed them, but in your own human laws, even the guilty are allowed to tell their story, so sit and listen to me. And he goes on, he explains how he lived with those people, why he killed William, why he framed Justine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think detective work was like, well, you were near it, so you must have done it. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. But then they were able to deduce that Frankenstein wasn't the one that killed Henry. So it's like, you guys couldn't have put logic. I don't know. It's very weird. But yeah, for sure. This is a lot of. Okay. So this is where I wrote Frankenstein's fatal flaw for me. And I agree with all of you guys, everything that you guys said. And then I wrote, like, not accepting the consequences of his actions, I think, are, for me, I don't know if anyone mentioned it, but that's just what I wrote, his fatal flaw. Because if he would have just taken responsibility from the beginning, if he would have just manned up from the beginning, none of this would have happened. And maybe William he couldn't have saved, but he certainly could have saved Justine. That's true. He did frame her. Yeah. Yeah. And Justine too, like we were saying, how she's a symbol of something bigger. She's just like, fine, I did it. I must have, and sort of takes the blame, thinking that will save her soul, even though she's not the one that did it. She's definitely the scapegoat of the story. The creature is not good, and I think that's part of the point of the story, being able to show empathy for him while also acknowledging and holding him accountable for his wrongdoings. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a hard one to... It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because obviously you feel sorry for him and you feel like he doesn't deserve what he... I mean, imagine just snapping into existence one day and the one person that made you is like, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're a demon, get out of here. And then you're just walking through the world alone and everyone who sees you is like, you're ugly. And you're like, what do I do? Yeah, that would be hell. So, yeah, it's tough. It's super tough. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I told Brian, I said, this is the first incel story. He's like, make me a girlfriend or I'm going to ruin your life. I told Brian that this morning and he cracked up. Okay. That's so funny. Yes. That's exactly how I feel too. Okay. So. Dun, dun, dun. They sit by a fire. He's like, I'll tell you a cozy story of how I. But here's something I want to bring up to you guys, okay? And maybe I analyze things too much. I know that I can do that. So correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Oh, and also he finds a fire too around that house too. Like the fire, light, and the monster go hand in hand throughout the whole story. That's so interesting to me. Okay, so and then he says, I found a fire and was overcome with delight at the warmth I experienced from it. I thrust my hand into the live embers and then drew them back quickly with cry of pain. How strange, I thought. The same cause should produce such opposite effect. I was like, bro, this is... How does she wrap up an entire story in one line? You know what I mean? Like, this guy came from light, he dies in light, and then you have this line about fire. I just think that she's just such a wonderful writer. Okay. Oh yeah. Then he also, after he ran away from that family, some villagers attacked him and threw stones at him, which is mean. That's mean. Obviously, don't throw stones at people who are ugly. Or that was before he blew up the house. Sorry, that was when he was just passing through. Okay, so he learns about philosophy. I wrote that his confusion and questioning who he is heartbreaking. This is just a story that he's recounting to Frankenstein at this point. Yeah, it is mean. I think the moral of the story is don't be mean to people. Just a straight up Justine movie. I'd be down. I'd watch it. Why didn't Victor kill the monster? Guns were around. He didn't even have to go near the monster to kill him. He never contemplates killing the monster. He's so passive. Yeah. Well, I think that's also part of his fatal flaw, because I still think some part of him enjoys being a god and creating this creature. And I still think that a part of him does think that he's a genius. And I think that's why, I mean, he's like, oh, you know, eventually he gets to the point where he's like, oh, I should kill this guy. But I think, yeah, I think part of his fatal flaw is he's like, I created that. Like, I still think he's proud of what he did, even if he thinks he's ugly. What did and then Victor does ask him, but if you are really blameless, can you not undeceive them? Right? Victor says that. That's indeed unfortunate. Even if you were really criminal, that can only drive you to desperation and not instigate you from virtue. Yeah, okay. Okay, heaven forbid. Even if you were really criminal, for that can only drive you to desperation and not instigate you to virtue. So I think these are the lines that I was picking up that I'm like, yeah, dude, he definitely chose his actions. Okay, so he feels revenge and hatred. These country people owed him nothing. Knew he was... Oh, okay. And then here's another thing. When he goes and meets William for the first time, he's like he's talking to William, and William's like, he's like, oh, here's a child. This child will be kind to me. Like, this is another thing with a monster. He can't, and I get it. He's not human and he doesn't, but he's been watching this family for a long time and he's learned enough that instead of being able to empathize and be like, oh, this child could be scared of me because I don't represent what normal people represent to him, he's just like, oh, this child, he's not tainted by the world, he should be nice to me. And then when William starts to yell because he's like, oh, this giant guy is around me, then the monster gets pissed off again and he says, boy, you will never see your father again, you must come with me. This is before he knew that he was related to Frankenstein. So his initial reaction once a little boy starts yelling at him is, oh, I'm gonna kill you. It has nothing to do with Frankenstein. And so here's where I think maybe I've overanalyzed, but do we know that this monster is a reliable narrator? Because when he's sitting at the fire and he's telling Victor what happened, he only acknowledges what Victor already knows. So he's like, okay, I killed William. Okay, I killed Justine, or I framed Justine. But I'm reading this and thinking like, well, he obviously kills people. I mean, he was definitely going to do something to that little boy before he even knew that he was related to Victor. So how do we know that this monster hasn't been killing people for the past 2 years? How do we know that that is actually the story that happened with the villagers and he didn't kill them all? How do we know that? I feel like I'm weary of this guy. I'm weary of him. And I feel like I understand him being upset and kind of losing it and stuff, but I don't know. If his first interaction with William was to threaten him before he even knew that he was related to Victor in any way, it makes me question what he actually did to those villagers. Like, he burned down their house. Maybe they were in it. I don't know. And maybe I'm overanalyzing, and maybe I'm thinking too much of the story, but I got to this point and I'm like, Victor and him, because this is all told through Victor's story, so it's all convoluted, you know? But maybe nobody is a reliable narrator. Oh, a happy ending for Justine. The creature was happily living his life in the wood before he stumbled onto the family. Learned to read, etc. Yeah. Yeah, he is just like, woe is me the whole time. I think, yeah, that's true. I think he also just likes being a melancholy little bitch. Yes, totally. If he did kill him, what would he have left to complain about? That's so true. That's so true. He likes being the victim. That is so true. And the ending also, did he go off and die? Thank you. Did he go off and die like he said he would? Or did he just go and find something else? Yeah, we don't know. We don't fucking know. We don't know. So this is why I'm apprehensive of the monster. Because I don't trust him. I don't believe him. And that's what we learn. He's like, no, I swear I'm just going to go kill myself in a fire. You know, again with a fire. This guy's obsessed with fire. But I don't trust him. I don't believe him. And if he goes up to a young boy and he can't even, after learning for 2 years, supposedly, you know, if we believe what he says, about empathy and how he was so happy with his family and how he learned what love really means, and he can go up to a little boy and the little boy gets scared and he can't empathize that he's a giant creature scaring a little boy, and his first initial reaction is, come with me, you'll never see your father again, before he even knows who this kid is. And then it just happens to be the brother of Victor Frankenstein, and then he goes, oh, okay, well, I'll kill you, and it'll make sense because I'm trying to punish Victor. I don't know. I think there's more under the surface. And this is how I read it differently. Because when I read this the first time, that's not at all what I thought. But then I started thinking, I'm like, we are getting that. It's kind of like House of Leaves. We're getting a story of a story of a story. So I don't know who to trust, And all of this is through Victor as well. So I don't know. Yes, it's Victor's recounting of the creature story. Yes. Yeah, it's Walton's recounting of Victor's recounting of the creature. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So obviously Victor would make the monster look bad, but I also just found it interesting that, maybe Victor is just saying how the story happened, and the monster only admits to what Victor knows. And I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, he knows he killed William, and he knows he's the reason why Justine is dead, and that's the only thing that the monster says that he's done wrong. But he's had 2 years just running around the world. Like, who knows? Oh yeah. I don't know you can read Victor in a positive way. Can you? I don't know. Maybe there is someone that likes Victor, but man, he is just a whiny little baby. I think the monster's line of reasoning makes sense, though. He basically becomes a Marxist when he sees how poor the family is, helping them with the wood, being careful not to steal their food. Yeah. But then at the same time, the second they do something quote unquote wrong to them, which really they don't do this family does nothing wrong. Like, they are just going about their lives. They don't know this guy comes, and then they come home and this 8-foot tall guy is grabbing their dad. Of course they're going to freak out. The family does nothing wrong. They are innocent in this whole thing. So sure, he does help them. He brings them wood. He's very conscientious of their food intake. He, learns about their history and what led to this position. But the moment they do not accept him, he burns down their house. So I also think that that's kind of telling of his character as well. Man, that's a hard one. Been your favorite book club book? I don't know. Well, this one, what I will say is books like this, there's obviously so much to analyze and we can all read the story so differently. So I think these types of books make the best book club, but I don't know. We had a lot of good book clubs this year. But for me, that justifies his actions towards William when the creature sees his reflection and understands that his mistreatment is because of his appearance. That angers him. He was genuinely trying to be good, but then he realized that no one would treat him well because of his ugliness. So he kills William because he's still bitter about what happened with his family. Oh, yeah. And that is his reasoning. So it's just up to the reader if they accept that. You know what I mean? And that's totally fine that you do. And if you're on the monster side, there's nothing wrong with that. I think most people, when they read this, I think the intention of the whole story is to question who the monster really is. So you're definitely not wrong in that. And that is what he does. But I am just apprehensive to believe anybody because I just read everyone as an unreliable narrator. And that's probably my issue as a reader, but I just don't trust anyone. And that's a good question too. Is the monster more animal than human? I don't think that he's anything that we can really pinpoint, He's just like a whole other thing. Okay, how about this, guys? Here's my question for you. So the monster tells him, look, I killed your brother. My bad. I was upset. You called me ugly. That's not nice, okay? He's like, but I have a bargain for you. If you make me a girlfriend, if you make me a partner, if you make me another creature like me, so I don't feel alone in this world, I will leave you alone. I will leave humanity alone. I will go to a place, where does he say, like Africa or something? He's like, I will go into the forest and no human will ever see me again. All you have to do is make me a significant other. At first, Victor agrees, but then he starts to question if that's really the right choice to make. Did he burn down the farmhouse before or after he looks in the stream? I think before. Well, he mentions it looking in the stream a few times, actually, so maybe he looked in the stream first. I don't know now. But he does mention seeing his reflection quite a few times, so I'm not 100% sure. He should have just gone and found himself. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Nat, me and you we're on the same wavelength. I was thinking, I'm like, dude, he should just go and find the Bird Box people to live with. Everyone's just blindfolded. There you go. Happy. No one has to worry about how ugly he is. It is interesting, though, that people are so reactionary to his looks and are so fearful of him. I think that's sad. One thing that bugged me about the new film... Oh, I didn't watch the one. Maybe you're the ones. Yeah. I'm not a big fan when films or books do that, when they're like, because to me it's insulting. It's like, have enough faith in your reader or your audience to understand what you're saying if you're doing it well enough. You know what I mean? It's almost insulting to the reader or the viewer of the movie to be like, hey, did you get that? Did you get that? Did you get that though? Are you stupid? You want me to zoom in on it so you get it? Like, that pisses me off in movies too. I think he's definitely aware of his appearance. He had seen himself in the ponds of water. Yeah. I think there's quite a few times that he mentions that. I just can't remember exactly when in the story. Kind of reminds me of the Elephant Man. Is that the do you guys remember that movie with Cher? I think the kid's name's like Rocky or something. Is my camera zooming in and out? Is my camera zooming in and out, or does it look normal to you guys? Let me see if it's on auto or not. It should be. No, yeah, it is. And it shouldn't be on. Hold on, let me. Wait. This one. Continues. I think that's the bad one. Shoot. That might be annoying for... Oh no, it has been? Dang it. Brian messed with my camera settings. I hope it's not too annoying. Okay, I think I fixed it, so it shouldn't do that anymore. But I totally forgot Brian messed with my camera settings, and it makes it very annoying. Well, to me. Hopefully it's not too annoying to you. I think you guys would tell me if it was annoying, but... Okay, so sorry about that, guys. That's gonna be probably annoying to people who watch this afterward. Dude just can't catch a break, I guess. He's screwed no matter what. John Merrick. I don't know him. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You got to do a good enough job to where your audience picks it up without explicitly telling them. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so that was my question. Is do you guys agree with Victor's reasoning to not make this second girlfriend? And he gives a few. He says, I didn't highlight them, so it's going to take me a second. He says that I was engaged in the same manner. I had created a fiend whose unparalleled barbarity had desolated my heart and filled it forever with the bitterest remorse. I was now about to form another being of whose disposition I was alike ignorant. She might become 10,000 times more malignant than her mate, and delight for its own sake in murder and wretchedness. He had sworn to quit the neighborhood of man and hide himself in the deserts, but he had not. But she had not. And she, who in all probability was to become a thinking and reasoning animal, might refuse to comply with the compact that I made with her creation. They might even hate each other. The creature who already lived loathed his own deformity, and might he not conceive a greater abhorrence for it when it came before his eyes in the female form. She also might turn with disgust from him to the superior beauty of man. She might quit him, and he again might be alone, exasperated by the fresh provocation of being deserted by one of his own species. So that is Victor's reasoning why he decides not to make a female Frankenstein's monster. Do you guys agree with this? Would you have just made him a girlfriend? What would you guys have done in this situation? What do you think? I don't even know what that is. The Elephant Man? I mean, I've heard people reference that, but I didn't know it was like a real person or something. Yes, 100%. Hollywood now intentionally makes films that people can still follow when they spend time on their phones. Yes, 100%. They like dumb things down so people don't have to think. It's destroying art. I believe the creature was a good guy, and I believe he deserves a companion. Wow, I thought it was sad when Victor didn't. Wow, really? Agree to make him one. Interesting. Okay. Isn't there a belief that the woman would temper a man and thus a man should marry? So Victor would have made him a woman. Maybe the monster would have tempered the poor guy. Interesting. Okay, this is not what I expected. There's a possibility that she would not have been the same way, though. Yeah. If I had $1 million, oh. Yeah, no, I got you. Temper the monster. Yeah. Wow, that might have been... Wow, okay. Interesting. I was expecting you all to be like... I have something in my hair. I was expecting you all to be like, no, I would not make a monster. I'm so surprised that you guys would make him a girlfriend. That's crazy. Okay, here's what I will say. This is just my own personal thought. I think that Victor has many flaws throughout the story. I think that not making the monster was a turning point where I could actually be like, good for you. You finally thought about the consequences of your actions. You finally, like, he didn't do this with the first monster. He was too obsessed with his own creation and becoming a god of sorts, you know? I think it shows to me that he learned something. Maybe not, though, because then the ending, I don't know. He's such a hard guy to pinpoint. But to me, at least, I was like, at the very least, maybe he doesn't make a full character arc, and maybe he's not someone that can be respected even at the end of the story. But to me, at least, I'm like, at least you're stopping and thinking about the future versus just doing, which he has done his whole life, you know? He doesn't think about the consequences of how his actions can affect anybody else. And here he's actually stopping and thinking about that. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't know that he ever is justified in his actions, but I think at this point, a little bit, I was like, okay, you got a little bit of respect for me. At least you're thinking about things. Victor should have been, a decent person from the beginning and not abandon his creation. Yeah, imagine what would have happened. They could have been best friends if he shouldn't have strung along the creature and should have killed him or, done something instead. But then, is that inhumane to kill this creature too? Like, there's just so many questions, so many philosophical questions about this book. Like, what is more humane, to murder this thing or to, I don't know. No, I would not make it. Creating and forcing a woman just to submit into a relationship. Oh yeah, without her consent. That's so true. And like he said, he has no idea how this creature will react. He doesn't have any idea. And like we said, at the end of the story, the monster goes, hey, I'm going to go kill myself. We have no idea if he actually did that. So like, what makes us believe that he would just take his girlfriend and go off? You know what I mean? Now he's like, well, there's two of us. We're powerful. I don't know. Things could definitely go wrong. I would not have made another one too. And it's like making a creation for your creation. You know what I mean? Yeah. Creation, inception. Yes, 100%. Definitely is. On so many different levels. Because you have, obviously like a feminist aspect of the story. You also have class and socioeconomic status in the story as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yes, if you're going to humanize the creature, you've got to humanize the female creature too. 100%. 100%. And that means by creating her that she has her own mind. She will learn her own things. And the reason I think that Frankenstein's monster ended up the way that he did was because of the text that he was reading, you know? Had he not been reading all these philosophical texts, maybe he wouldn't have been so concerned about what he was and trying to fit in, you know? So I think it's also like a nature-nurture nature versus nurture thing too. However, this woman is raised, whatever she has interaction with is going to shape how she becomes as well, which is going to be completely different from the previous monster. Yeah, he shouldn't have made such a sentient being to begin with. Yeah. Stick to earthworms or something. Yeah, man, what a crazy ride this has been. I wrote also, Victor is like the monster in at least one way. He isolates and doesn't rely on family or friends with his secrets, which I think also, like, we tend to look at Victor in a negative way, which I think is fair, and I think he earned that. But also, if we stop to think about it, maybe the reason why Victor kept the monster alive is because he sees something in that monster that he resonates with. Like the melancholiness, the not really fitting in either. Victor definitely is more isolated than most people. He doesn't really seem to fit in. He has one friend, and then like his wife, who happens to be kind of his sister cousin person. You know, it's not like he has a bunch of friends and feels like he fits into society. So I think there's also a lighter side of Frankenstein too, if we allow ourselves to see it. I know it's hard because he makes such bad decisions, but I do think that maybe that is an option, that he doesn't want to kill the monster because he sees a little bit of himself in him, which I think brings a little bit of humanity to the character of Victor. If he'd been willing to teach and work with the creature from the beginning, he would have made the creature a wife. Yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah. Well, because, yeah, like nature versus nurture, it depends solely on how this guy was raised. If you are abandoned from an early age and not treated with love, of course you're going to end up differently than if you were raised with respect and, you know, not told that you're ugly every 5 seconds. Victor is isolated, yes, but it's his choice. He's in high society. He can make friends. He chooses not to. Well, yeah, but I think that's the point. Like, I think that's why he sees something in the monster of himself, is because, yeah, he can have friends, but that's just not who he is as a person. And I think that, I don't know, maybe he resonates with something in the monster. Why was the creature everywhere Victor ran to? It didn't help that the creature's case that he was watching him from afar. In the creation of the bride. Well, I think he was like, I'll always be watching you. I think didn't he tell him that? He was just like, oh, I'm just going to follow you around until you make me a girlfriend. Exactly. If the creature came across a different cabin, different books. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what Mr. Tickle is, but I'm scared to ask. That's why I think this book is so genius, because there's so many different ways you can interpret the text. There's so many just philosophical questions you can consider when reading it. I just think that it's such a genius piece of work that this many years later, we can all read it differently, and we can all sit and talk about it and be like, oh, I felt this way about the creature, or I felt this way about Victor, or whatever. It's just really fantastic and so beautifully written. Victor isolates himself, though. He has a loving family and a best friend who is very much present in his life. He's also getting married. Yeah, but that's not what makes him happy, you know? Like, I think he really does like just brooding and being a victim and wallowing in self-pity. I think that really is just like at his core who he is as a person. Which, again, I'm not saying that he's like this great character or anything, but I think we can, just if you look at it from that perspective, you can see a little bit more of a human side to him. That's what I'm saying. There's so many ways to read this. You can see it only as him being like a selfish asshole, like, well, I'm a god and I created this creature, so I'm not going to eliminate him from the earth because then I don't have that godlike status. Or you can read it from a more emotional perspective and be like, well, he is a creature of his own upbringing. You know, he lost his mother when he was young, and if we have learned anything from Shelley's upbringing, you know, maybe he didn't feel the love for his father that he wished he had. Like, he's definitely more of a sensitive being. His father's definitely a little bit more like logical. And so like he is also a product of his race too, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Everyone in his family loves Victor, even if he is a little weird. People still love him. That is true, and that does definitely change you. That is true. One thing that really annoyed me was when he told Elizabeth he'd tell her, yeah, like after we're married, then I'll tell you my giant secret, yeah. And a little too late. a little too late. Oh yeah, for those of you who didn't read it and are here, I forgot to say that Victor gets married to Elizabeth, which is like his sister/cousin that his family adopted, and then the monster kills her too. Wah wah. I wonder if Shelley also might be commenting on the sense of God or Mother Earth, etc., as being like Victor rather than being about Victor being an imitation of God. Oh yeah, so like you're saying being a natural God versus like a forced God. Completely blipped out of my mind. He did threaten him. If Mary Shelley was still around, I'm sure she would be a billionaire. Because God or nature, like Victor, created the human race to be unequal. Yeah, some find love, some don't. Some are happy, some aren't. Victor's folly is our folly. Yes, we are all the creature. Oh, how great. Yeah, and that's kind of like my thought. And I know that we can't say that fully, but like you do have choices in life. And yes, you are a product of your race. And yes, you are the way you are because of your circumstances and what you encounter in life. But you also have options and you also make your own decisions. And just as I think that Victor needs to suffer for his consequences, I think the monster does too. And that's how I feel. I'm team no one. I'm team Justine. Having read H.G. Wells and really struggled to get through them, I thought I would have a problem with how much language had changed. But this was, it was so beautiful. It was very, very beautiful. Yes, I 100% agree. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book. She's the OG goth girl. Keeping Percy's heart in a box wrapped in silk. Oh, I love that. The captain's monologue about Victor is so heartwarming. Unconditional love for someone who doesn't really deserve it. Oh yeah, so I guess the ending. So this is kind of where I go back. So I know I've been kind of like trying to add humanity to Victor, but I also don't think at the end of the story that he really has changed that much. And same with the monster. He's just fucking with Victor the whole time. He is guiding Victor to, I think it's the Arctic. And he even says, sometimes he who himself, so Victor is trying to chase after him. And he says, sometimes he asks the villagers, hey, was there a tall, ugly guy that came through here? And it says, sometimes he himself, the monster himself, who feared that if I lost all trace of him, I would despair and die, left some mark to guide me. So at the end of the story, he follows him to the Arctic and the monster's just fucking with him. He's like, I'm going to make you as miserable as humanly possible because you wouldn't make me a girlfriend. And he brings them to the Arctics. I think the thought process is because it's going to be a harder journey for Victor than for himself because he can withstand the cold temperatures and the scarce amount of food. But he even leaves like dead rabbits and stuff for Victor so he can survive just enough to be miserable. I don't like anyone in this book. And then I wrote, what if Victor made it all up and he's the one that killed his whole family? Like, I guess at the end we have the captain who does see the monster. So what if Victor did create a monster and then he just went about killing his whole family, blaming the monster? I was like, that would be a crazy twist for the story. And then our book also ends with fire, where he says, I shall ascend my funeral pile triumphantly and exult in an agony of torturing flame. That's what he says. We don't know if he actually did it, but that's how it ends. Victor dies because he's a little baby and he couldn't handle sled dogging. I don't know what you call it, sledding through the Arctic for a little while. And then the monster comes to his bedside and he's like, this is also weird. The monster's like, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. If you were alive, I would have forgiven you. And you're like, no, you wouldn't have, you fucking liar. And my last note here is this. At the beginning, the captain says, I will not shoot my albatross or whatever. That's kind of how the story begins. He meets Victor. He feels something in him, thinks that he is maybe a good person that has just done some wrong things. Victor, they get stuck in the ice and the captain is worried that they'll die. And the crewmen come to the captain and they say, hey, if we are able to survive this, I want to go back. I want to give up. I want to go home. And the captain's contemplating this and Victor's like, you all are bitches. No, you better go through, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's in this point that we see that Victor hasn't had a full character arc and he's still determined to do whatever he sees fit, regardless of how it affects other people. So I know that I have moments of empathy for him, and I have moments of like, oh, he is a human too. But I think it's in this moment that we can see that he still has not changed as a character. And the book ends with the captain agreeing to that if they're able to get out of the ice, that they will go back. Basically failing his mission, his life mission, the thing that he's dreamed about for life. You know, he's given up companionship and friendship and family and all of these things to make this journey. And he keeps true to that. So in the beginning of the book, he says, I will not kill my own albatross. And at the end of the book, he turns his ship around. I think thus implying that he is not like Victor Frankenstein, that he will not let his own selfishness probably end his life and his friends for like that glory that he wanted. And he decides to turn around and go home, which, like, what a beautiful ending for a story. Maybe Victor Frankenstein had a horrific life and made a lot of people miserable in his wake, but at least this captain isn't following in his footsteps. The end. Okay. And yeah, I think that's part of, the unconditional love that he has for someone he doesn't really know. I think we can really see the difference in personality between the captain and Victor at that time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Frankenstein was almost immediately made public domain. Oh, I don't know. Off-topic question. A few streams ago, we were talking about Intensity by Dean Koontz. I wanted to ask if you think Koontz... No, I liked... Well, I'm not a huge Dean Koontz fan. I've only ever read Intensity and one other book, but I really liked the other book that I read from him. I read Mr. Murder from him, and I really enjoyed that one. It was much more sci-fi. So I feel like, just based off of that, I don't think that he's like in my limited knowledge, like a knockoff version of Stephen King. I feel like they have their differences, but I really, really liked Mr. Murder. I just wasn't a fan of Intensity. Victor is not a great guy. Yeah, I didn't expect... Oh. So true. What the hell happened to Ernest? The one who truly deserves empathy is Ernest, who got orphaned and forgotten. Yeah, so true. And then also, like, what does that... If the whole point of the story is kind of like how you're raised and stuff, what does Ernest go on to become? You know what I mean? It's never ending. It's a never ending cycle. Oh, come on. No. We're going to pretend like the dogs lived. In my head, all the dogs survived, okay? The twist would have happened in modern day literature. So true. So true. Well, that's what I was reading it. I was like, how have they not made a Frankenstein where at the end, Victor's like, oh yeah, I made that monster, but I'm the one that killed all my family. How has that not been done yet? What do you mean? You mean give book suggestions for next book club? The Justine spinoff. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll have Ernest will be in there too. I agree. Okay, so what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you feel differently about the book after discussing it? Do you have the same views you had reading it? What do you think? Tell me all of your thoughts. Give me your ratings on the book. Oh, and then really quick, like, just to kind of wrap things up and go back to the beginning, because we talked a little bit about Mary Shelley's life. So also, in addition to how you feel about it, what does this book mean to you? People say that it's about the fears of motherhood. It could be about bringing something into this world and like not preparing it for the world, like having a child and not feeling like you're preparing it to take on life. It could be the dangers of science, humans playing God. Is the story about grief? Or is it just a critique on man like, and specifically the men in her life, her husband and her father, who these characters are based off of. Or, you know, just like the beauty but also cruelty of humanity, nature versus nurture. What did this book mean to you? Oh, to send physical copies. I don't have a P.O. box yet. Okay, so I have like a huge stack of books. It's probably like this big down here that authors have sent me. And then I have another stack of books over there that people have sent me. So I just feel bad accepting anything else if I haven't gotten through those yet, you know? So I want to open a P.O. box, but I also really want to get through some of these. So eventually I will have a P.O. box, but not yet. Oh my God, what if Ernest goes on to be Reanimator? Because that was made around the time, right? When was Herbert West Reanimator written? I mean, Reanimator. When's the publication date? I know it's like a serialized story, but February 1922. Guys, we solved it. We solved it. He goes on to become Herbert West Reanimator in the H.P. Lovecraft story. It's got to be 5 stars. I think it's a mixture of all those things, which makes it such a classic. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can for sure recommend. Yes, definitely. Always take recommendations. I will add this to my list. I will look it up. I will read it. Our mathematical universe. Is this about the universe? Is this gonna stress me out? Is this gonna keep me up at night? Is this gonna give me existential dread? Is a journey to explore the mysteries uncovered by... Oh yeah, this is gonna scare me. This is going to scare me, but I will look into it, I promise. 8.5 out of 10. It changed my outlook on poetry and imagery. Oh, cool. Discussing it gave fresh points of view to a wild ghost story. Wonderful. Oh, that's so nice. See, this is why I like, and it's so interesting to see how other people, because I knew going into it, I'm like, I know people are going to like the monster, and I know I'm going to be kind of the odd man out, but sometimes I kind of like being the instigator. and bringing up different points that, you know, people might not agree with. But I think it makes for more of a lively conversation. I like hearing other people's point of views. Me too. I'll continue to think about Victor as a douchebag. That's fine. And the creature had the right to be angry at the world. That's fair. That's fair. Completely fair. And Victor is a douche. That is true. And he is such a whiny little baby. He's such a baby. Genuinely love this one. Yeah. Easily one of my favorite. Oh, book club so far. That's so cool. I do want to reread it with other interpretations in mind, as well as rewatching the movies. Yeah, I think that's also probably why I went a little outside of the box on this one, because I had read it before. So, I don't know. I feel like when you read a book more than once, other things jump out at you, or at least I don't know. I'm annoying when I read books and I'm like, but what if Victor murdered his whole family? I haven't picked a rating yet, but definitely like 4.5 to 5 star. It's a wonderful book. I was going to rate it 4.5, but then I think about the other books that I read and I'm like, how can it be lower than some of the, you know? So it's got to be like 4.5 to 5 stars for me. Oh yeah, philosophical books about the universe and what lies beyond. Okay, so you want to give me an existential crisis. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll just, yeah, that's gonna freak me out for sure. Anything about because I also read at like 2:00 in the morning, and space just freaks me the fuck out. It was hard to get through but I now see why it's a classic. It was a revolutionary book of the time. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely not a book where you sit down and read in one day. You kind of do have to take it slow, take in the imagery, like really see the beauty in it. So I agree with that. Like, hard to get through as in it's not just a quick, easy read. And its influence, yes. So, and when you're reading it, you're like, oh, I get why this book lasts so well. How does she make characters that are so unlikable, but you're so intrigued and you have to know what happens, and you're so devastated and you can feel their pain even if you don't agree with their actions. I think it's a really very, very beautiful work. 4.75, just because the traveling scenes dragged. Oh, interesting. But it's still one of my favorites, along with The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've only read that one once, the Dorian Gray book. 5 stars. Cool. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this one. I had a feeling this was going to be a good discussion. These are my favorite types of books, like the Dean Koontz book. And again, like you were asking if I enjoyed Dean Koontz. I think also the reason I didn't like that one is because I'm reading it. I'm like, what are we going to talk about in book club? It's just about a killer. I don't, like some books just aren't as good of book club books as a book like this is. I mean, we still find ways to discuss it, but not in the same capacity as something like Frankenstein. Okay, let me find a pen and a piece of paper so I can take your suggestions. Yes, I have not gotten out of pajamas this morning. I got ready for book club and I'm like, I don't want to put pants on. That's blasphemy. All right, so our book club, what was it? Book covers. So a book that you want to read with a cool book cover. I mean, it could be cool, it could be gross, it could be fun, whatever you guys want. You can go ahead and give me your suggestions. Richard, I just finished this one last night. Oh, and I finished Night of the Living Elves last night too. What a weird reading week. I'm reading Frankenstein and Night of the Living Elves at the same time this week. And so it was like this beautiful, poetic, philosophical text mixed with this evil elf that like climbs inside of a mall Santa and turns people into evil elves. It was a weird reading week. Really? You ended up buying a second copy? That's so funny. Yeah, that's a hard one because they do have so many. Like, this is my favorite one. These Barnes and Noble editions, so freaking pretty. So pretty. Okay. Yeah. Totally get that. Sometimes you definitely need a few read-throughs. Yeah, I was looking at the Last Man. I was gonna buy it and then I'm like, oh, I think it's long, isn't it? Oh, okay. The Starving Saints. I think this one has already been recommended for book club. Let me see. Yeah, okay. This one has been recommended before. I can't remember if it made it in one of our picks, though. So for those of you who don't know, we take all your suggestions for book club, and then I'll put a thing for people who missed book club on Instagram or whatever. And then I get all the suggestions, and then I randomly select 6. Well, the wheel randomly selects 6, and then Patreon votes for the book that we read. So now I will take any suggestions that you want for, our category is book cover. So any cool, great book cover. So we have The Starving Saints. In the Dracula versus Frankenstein debate, I think Frankenstein is superior. Really? Personally, wow. Both are very influential, but Frankenstein really goes way beyond the horror elements. Frankenstein really, it is a horrific novel. It does a good job really making you feel like the dread of what's actually happening. And whoever said that earlier, the story just continues to escalate. She did a really great job with that. Also love that we've somehow managed to get from this book to Frankenstein Conquers the World. Where the creature's heart is stolen by Nazis. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's what happens when you're in the public domain. Oh, killer clowns. Okay, hunger. Oops. Got it. The macabre. Okay, yeah. I was gonna say some people read that on Discord too. I think the Starving Saints one. The cover is, I mean, if you're gonna pick a book based off of the cover, that's a good. The cover is very intriguing. I know that, yeah, because that's what I was looking up, that the post-apocalyptic one, and I think it's very long and it didn't have as good of reviews. So I was like, oh, her writing dropped off after Percy died. Oh yeah, so that's what it said in the book too, that it was after Frankenstein was written, but I don't know how much after. I think her husband drowned. Nat, you are so funny. You're like, the monk is gonna get chosen. I am so down for your what do you call that? You know, I can't think of the word, but yeah, I'm all here for it because I really want to read The Monk. And I haven't read it yet because I know it's gonna get picked one day. Oh, Dracula's hate is unmatched. And he sees everyone's as worms meant to be stopped. Interesting. No, because Richard, I can't figure out how to bring it here, to bring up a thing on here. And I asked Brian to help me, but he didn't know how to do it either. He tried to figure it out. I don't think I could do that. So I apologize. But that will be something that I try to do in the future. But I'm just so bad at technology. Thanks for coming. That's also true. Yeah, UK covers are different from the US ones. Richard, the 6 that I select though will be the American covers if they're when I post it on Discord. The Works of Vermin. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with technology. The book you just posted, a vintage horror book haul should be fun. I love her. I love the character. Oh, for Dracula. Matchmaking for Psychopaths. What's that? Is that a horror book? The hell was that? A ghost? Psychopaths? Oh, that's a good one. Horror store. Yeah, of course you can. Indian Burial Ground. Got those all written down. Yeah, we'll just read Frankenstein again. Well, every book club will just reread Frankenstein. But we'll make up all our alternate endings. We'll be like, oh no, Justine lived this time. She raised, what's the other brother's name? And they lived happily ever after. Oh, and they rescued all the dogs that got lost in the Arctic. That's how I would end Frankenstein. Yes. So we just finished wrapping up with Frankenstein, but we're picking books for for January's book club, and it's just horror books with cool covers. So people are just recommending books to recommend. Recommending books to recommend. Recommending books for next month's book club. I'm going to post the thing on Patreon today, Richard, the page, and I'll probably give people like a week to sign up for it. Oh, and House of Leaves. We are reading House of Leaves, and we're breaking it down month to month. If anybody's reading House of Leaves with us, actually this was great that you brought up House of Leaves, but we're resuming that in January too. We just took a little December break because we just wanted to read like December kind of Christmassy books. But we are reading House of Leaves already. But any other recommendations, I'm here for. And then I'll let you guys know what pages we'll read and when that one will be. It'll be later in January, the House of Leaves one. So we'll have plenty of time to read it. Frankenstein 2, Justine's Revenge. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's a good one. Carry On Comfort. Perfect. Perfect. Any other book suggestions with book covers? Also, you don't have to rush and find a book. I'll put a thing on Instagram, a little thing for the next 24 hours, like a Instagram story. So if you are like, oh, this one would have been good, you could just write it in the Instagram story, and I will include that as well. And then, like I said, I'll take all of these suggestions. I will put it into the Wheel of Names. I'll spin 6 times to get 6 random suggestions. And then I bring those 6 suggestions to Patreon. Patreon chooses the final book. And then I'll let you know what that book is. Lost Gods. Done. Yes, Richard, finally, since it's cold. Yes. That's one of my favorite horror books of all time is The Terror. It's so good. It's so good. That's a great one. Okay, so I got The Starving Saints, Hunger, The Macabre, The Monk, The Works of Vermin, Matchmaking for Psychopaths, Horror Store, Indian Burial Ground, Chlorine, if I'm reading my writing correctly, Carry On Comfort, Lost Gods. Good. Okay, I'm really sorry that the first part of this was annoying. How have we've already been talking for 2.5 hours? That's crazy. No, I haven't read the Abominable one yet. I have not. I liked the historical fiction element of The Terror. I loved reading about what happened to... Well, I mean, loved. It's horrific. It's like one of the most disturbing things, but because it was real. You know what I'm saying? Is that one based on something real too? The Abominable? Or is that just fiction? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Well, guys, this was a lovely book club. This was great. I feel like we did a pretty good job dissecting this guy. Dissecting. That's funny. Oh, a Frankenstein sequel. Interesting. I think people were saying that Dean Koontz has a Frankenstein book that's good too, or a series or something. Oh, the Goodreads horror winner. That was the Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Totally deserving. Such a wonderful book. It was a great book. I didn't read I didn't read all of the other ones. But I think it was well deserved. I really enjoyed that one. And Not Quite Dead Yet won the thriller section, which was definitely deserved. I loved that book, so I'm happy about that. Thank you so much for coming. Is that like a comic book? Yeah, people seem to really enjoy that new Frankenstein. We're actually going to watch that one next weekend on Patreon because we watched the original Frankenstein yesterday, so we'll watch that one too. We'll just have a Frankenstein a Frankenstein month this month. But I will be watching that one this weekend. I'm excited to see it. It has good reviews. People seem to really enjoy it, so we'll see what it is. We'll see how it is. All right, guys. Any last wrap-up thoughts on Frankenstein? Anything else that you guys... Oh, yes, and Frankenstein conquers the world. Yeah, we gotta have Nazi Frankenstein in there. That was super fun. I really love everyone brings something different when we're talking about a book, and everyone just has different feelings, and it's cool. It's cool. I still can't believe some of you would have made Frankenstein a girlfriend. That's crazy. Imagine what would have happened in this story if that's how it went. Yay, I'm so glad. I'm really glad that you guys seem to enjoy this one. Oh yeah, Frankenweenie. As long as the dog lives, okay. I'm sick of animal deaths in movies. Oh yeah, Frankenhooker, that's a good one. That's a good one. He just wanted to cuddle. No, I'm here for it. I'm here for you guys making a little Frankenstein girlfriend. The world's first incel. That's so funny. It's so funny you said that, Nat, because I was like, that's exactly what I told my husband earlier. He was like, make me a girlfriend or I'll destroy your life. I'll kill your whole family. Yeah, so I'll give you guys all the updates on the next book club when it will be. I'll let you know the 6 books that get selected. I'll let you know the final selection, and then I'll let you know when the next book club. It should be in like a month, the first weekend, maybe the second weekend of January. Frankenfish. Oh god. Oh god. I still haven't read or watched all those Amityville movies. Remember how we found all the horrific Amityville ones? I still gotta watch those. All right, guys. I'm off. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was a very fun book club. I had a feeling it was going to be a good one. Oh no, I haven't read anything else from him. I didn't know he had. Oh. But I will add that one to my list. Thank you so much. Is it new? No, it's not. No, but I loved Pen Pal, so I'll read anything from him. Yeah, probably not. But there's some like real weird Amityville movies that I'm a little curious about. Thank you so much, guys. Yep, I'll be in in Discord. See all my Discord people in Discord, and I'll see all you guys. I'll post a video sometime this week. I'm not sure when, but Flesh of Frankenstein. Yeah, we should. I wish we could watch movies on here. This would be so fun to just have a night of just like the weirdest, like Frankenstein movies or Amityville movies or whatever, you know? That would be good. That would be good. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you next time. I'll keep you updated, and I'll post on Instagram right now, so you guys will have 24 hours. If you think of another book, then let me know. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.